Good morning, everybody. It's just after 10:30, and I don't normally make videos in the weekend, but this weekend's been a bit strange because I've worked all the way through it. So I'm heading down to my office shortly. We've already taken a whole lot of the bits and pieces that we used for the Kowhai Festival out of the office and brought them back here. I need to go back down and straighten up the last little bits, and then this afternoon I'm heading down to Auckland Airport because I have a speaking engagement this evening in Wellington. And then tomorrow I'm chairing a political panel on civics education at Parliament, but I'll speak more of that tomorrow. I want to, just in light of the local body elections, I want to just really acknowledge Penny Webster, who has served the people of Rodney as an elected official for 9 years, 3 years as the mayor of the Rodney District Council, and she fought valiantly to try and keep Rodney out of the super city of Auckland. Not that that was ever going to work, because the people pushing it through were hell-bent on pushing it through. And also, I know what a mess I personally, having been elected to the first Rodney local board of Auckland Super City, I know what a mess it was when everybody got first elected in those first 3 years. So I think that the individuals that were elected in that first 3 to 6 years of this city need to be acknowledged for the fact that the city kept going. Up here in Rodney, there was an awful lot that needed to be sorted out, and Penny Webster was one voice sitting around that table, one voice that could be outvoted continually, one voice that actually had to keep trying to stand up for Rodney. And more times than I can count of, and that most people know, she managed to convince the southern councillors to come up here so that she could show them what our issues were. So I want to acknowledge the work that Penny has done. It's a big thing. I want to acknowledge all those that stood in the local body elections, because, you know, it takes a lot to put your hand up and say, I'll represent you, because it's not a job that people then come and embrace you over. From the moment you get it, there are those that will knock you. So I want to acknowledge the work done. I want to say that I'll be watching really closely to see how those that have been elected fulfill the promises that they have made, and how they then get inside that system, particularly those that criticised, used a negative-based campaign. Instead of a positive, what I will do, they chose to do a negative against the incumbent. So I'll be watching particularly those people to see how they fulfill the promises that they have made to the Rodney area. I also just want to make a bit of a comment about Bernard Hickey's article today about we need more truck drivers, not cleaners, and certainly couldn't agree with him more, which is why I'm going to encourage Bernard Hickey and all others to go and have a look at our upfront investment tertiary policy, which includes the widening of the apprenticeship scheme. And to take, and when we widen it, we want to be able to incorporate things like truck driving and things like fibre splicers and so on, who sit outside any training program at all at the moment. The word of, the one of little piece that irritated me inside the article was Mr. Hickey's bit of a swipe at New Zealand First with regard to immigration. Now, again, I'd like to encourage Mr. Hickey to go and have a look at New Zealand First's 15 founding principles. And inside those 15 founding principles, we talk about immigration, and we acknowledge that we will always need immigration on some level. But we refuse to accept immigration as an alternative to training and employing New Zealanders. So from that perspective, I think it's quite dangerous to once again blow the horn of immigration as the solution to skill shortages and job opportunities. Because when you bring in a skilled migrant, and there's some argument about the level of skills of the migrants we are bringing in, but when you bring in a skilled migrant, that person will be in that job for 20-something years, most likely. It might take 4 years to train a current New Zealander into that position. And what we've got now is the position has been filled by a new New Zealander. The existing New Zealander has now trained up into the skills and cannot find employment. The logic doesn't ride. So we would like to see, and that's what our policy is about government support for industry to put more skin back into the game, just like they did prior to the 1990s. so that we train our own, so that we train New Zealanders to fill the skill shortages. Nobody's ever suggesting that we're going to close the borders. What we are saying is we will not allow immigration to be used as an excuse to not train New Zealanders. Okay, I better go. Bye.